Captain Jiwoo stood on the bridge of her small ship, looking at the massive Imperial flagship ahead. The Dominion's edge was so big it blocked out the stars. Her hands were steady, but her heart was beating fast. This message would change everything. Admiral Daeho stood beside her. His face was calm, but she could see the anger in his eyes. For 50 years, the Galactic Empire had treated humans like animals. They took human children for work camps. They stole resources from human worlds. They killed anyone who spoke against them. "Are you ready?" Daeho asked. Jiwoo nodded. She pressed the button to send their message across all Imperial channels. Every ship, every base, every world in the Empire would hear this. "This is Captain Jiwoo of the Earth Defense Corps," she said. Her voice was clear and strong. "We speak for all human worlds and colonies. The Galactic Empire has 72 hours to stop all attacks on human territory. Remove your forces from our worlds. Free our people from your work camps. If you do not, we will consider this a declaration of total war." On the Imperial flagship, Emperor Vextar watched the message with his commanders. He was a tall alien, with purple skin and 4 arms. His eyes were cold like ice. When the message ended, he started laughing. His commanders laughed too. "Did you hear that?" Vextar said. "The humans think they can threaten us. They are like insects trying to fight dragons." General Salmon was the only one not laughing. She was human, but she had joined the Empire years ago. She had seen what Imperial forces did to human worlds. She had watched cities burn and families torn apart. "Your Majesty," Salmon said carefully, "humans are different from other species you have conquered. They do not give up. They remember everything. Maybe we should listen to their message." The Emperor's laugh stopped. His 4 eyes looked at Salmon with disgust. "You forget your place, General. Humans are useful for work, nothing more. They have no real weapons, no strong ships, no army that can face the Imperial fleet." Salmon wanted to say more, but she stayed quiet. She had learned not to argue with the Emperor when he was angry. On her ship, Jiwoo waited for the Empire's answer. It came 6 hours later. The Emperor himself appeared on the screen. Behind him stood rows of Imperial officers in their black uniforms. "Little humans," the Emperor said. His voice was full of hate. "You dare to threaten the Galactic Empire? We have ruled this galaxy for 1,000 years. We have crushed civilizations, older and stronger than yours." Jiwoo's face did not change, but Daeho could see her hands making fists. The Emperor continued. "To show you the price of rebellion, we will execute 1,000 human prisoners on 3 of your colony worlds. You have 24 hours to surrender completely, or we will destroy every human world in the galaxy." The transmission ended. The bridge was quiet for a long moment. "They made their choice," Daeho said. Jiwoo walked to the communications panel. She entered a special code that she had memorized years ago. This code would reach every human settlement, every hidden base, every secret group across the galaxy. "This is Captain Jiwoo," she said into the transmitter. "Condition 0. No mercy, no quarter, no surrender until ruin." The message was short, but every human in the galaxy understood what it meant. They had been preparing for this day for 50 years. Since the first human world fell to the Empire, they had been getting ready. On Earth, the message reached Dr. Inha in her secret laboratory. She pressed a button, and hidden machines started working. For decades, they had been building weapons the Empire could not imagine. On the mining world of New Sol, the message reached Engineer Hyon. He activated systems that had been hidden, underground for years. What looked like simple mining equipment began to change into something else. On the trade station at Kepler Base, Commander Nari got the message while pretending to load cargo ships. She sent signals to her teams. The cargo they had been moving was not food and supplies. It was weapons and soldiers. Across the galaxy, in colonies that looked peaceful and weak, humans began to show their true face. They had not been building farms and cities for 50 years. They had been building for war. Admiral Deho looked at the Imperial flagship one more time. "They think we are insects," he said. "They will learn what happens when insects have been planning for 50 years. Jiwoo activated another system on her ship. Around them, space began to change. Ships that had been hidden started to appear. They came out of asteroid fields, from behind moons, from places where they had waited in silence. The Imperial sensors on the Dominion's edge began to scream warnings. Where there had been empty space, now there were hundreds of human ships. They were not the simple vessels the Empire expected. These ships looked dangerous and deadly. "Sir!" an Imperial officer shouted to his commander. "We are detecting massive energy signatures. The human ships are powering weapons we do not recognize." The commander looked at his screens in shock. "How is this possible? Our intelligence said humans had no real military." General Soman stood in the Imperial Command Center and watched the displays. She felt sick and scared, but also proud. Her people had been smarter than the Empire knew. They had been patient and careful, but they had never stopped preparing. The Emperor stared at the screens, showing hundreds of human ships. For the first time in his long life, he felt something he had never felt before: fear. "Send a message to all Imperial fleets," he ordered. "Destroy every human ship. Show no mercy." But Admiral Deho was already moving. The human fleet did not wait for the Empire to attack first. They had given their warning. Now came the war. The first shots lit up space like deadly fireworks. The battle for humanity's future had begun. The Imperial fleet expected an easy fight. They thought human ships would break apart after a few shots. They were wrong. Engineer Hyon stood deep underground on the world of New Sol. Around him, machines hummed with power. For 50 years, his family had worked on this project. They called it the Terra Protocol. "All teams, this is Hyon," he spoke into his communicator. "Begin activation sequence. Let them see what we really built." Across the planet's surface, the ground began to split open. What the Empire thought were simple mining operations revealed their true purpose. Massive shipyards rose from hidden chambers. Weapon factories emerged from beneath fake farm buildings. The entire planet had been one giant military base, disguised as a peaceful colony. Commander Nari led the first wave of human ships against an Imperial patrol. The Empire expected primitive kinetic weapons and chemical explosives. Instead, her ship fired weapons that bent gravity itself. The Imperial vessels twisted like broken toys before they exploded. "Unknown weapon signature detected," an Imperial officer reported to his captain. "Our shields are not stopping their attacks." The captain watched 3 of his ships die in seconds. "Fall back. We need to report this to command." But Nari's ships were faster than anything the Empire had ever seen. They moved like hunting wolves, surrounding the Imperial vessels before they could escape. Not one Imperial ship survived to carry news of the new human weapons. Admiral Kyung-soo commanded the main human battle fleet from his flagship, the Human Resolve. His ships fought with tactics the Empire could not understand. They did not try to capture Imperial vessels or take prisoners. Every enemy ship was completely destroyed, then stripped for useful materials. "Sir," his communications officer said, "we are receiving surrender signals from Imperial Transport Group 7. "Denied," Kyung-soo said without hesitation. "Destroy them all. Take everything useful from the wreckage." His crew carried out the orders without question. They had all lost family and friends to Imperial cruelty. There would be no mercy until the Empire was gone. Dr. Inha worked in her laboratory on Earth, surrounded by captured Imperial technology. For decades, human agents had been stealing Empire equipment piece by piece. They studied every component, every system, every weapon the Empire used. "We know their technology better than they do," she told her team. "We have improved on every design. Our ships are faster, stronger, and smarter than anything they have. She showed them the latest human ship designs. They used Imperial technology as a starting point, but human engineering had made them far superior. Human ships could go places Imperial vessels could not reach. They could fight in ways Imperial captains could not imagine. General Soman stood in the Imperial Command Center, watching the battle reports come in. Every message brought worse news. Human forces were appearing everywhere, striking Imperial bases across the galaxy. "How is this possible?" Emperor Vextar demanded. "Where did these ships come from? Where did they get these weapons?" Soman looked at the tactical displays. She could see the pattern that her Imperial colleagues missed. "Your Majesty, I do not think these are new ships. I think they have been building them for 50 years. Every diplomatic meeting, every trade agreement, every time we thought we were controlling them, they were studying us." The Emperor's forearms shook with rage. "You are saying they planned this from the beginning?" "Yes, Your Majesty. I think humans never intended to live under Imperial rule. They were always preparing for this war." An Imperial admiral burst into the command center. His uniform was torn and his face was burned. "Your Majesty, the human fleet at Kepler destroyed. Our entire patrol group. They are using weapons that ignore our shields. Their ships move faster than our sensors can track." The Emperor looked at the map showing Imperial territory. Red marks showed where human attacks had succeeded. There were too many to count. "Send the core fleet," he ordered. "Send our best ships and our strongest commanders. Crush these humans before they can spread their rebellion to other species." Commander Nari received new orders from Admiral Deho. She was to attack the Imperial supply base at Rigel Station. Intelligence said it held weapons and food for 10 Imperial battle groups. Her ships approached the station carefully. Imperial defenses were strong, but they were designed to fight. Imperial-style attacks. Human tactics were completely different. "All ships, execute Plan 7, Nari commanded. Her vessels spread out in a pattern that looked random to Imperial sensors. But when they attacked, the pattern became clear. Each ship hit the station from a different angle, using different weapons. The Imperial defenses could not adapt fast enough. In 12 minutes, Rigel Station was destroyed. Nari's ships collected everything useful from the wreckage and disappeared before Imperial reinforcements arrived. Pilot Yunwu flew his fighter in formation with 50 other human pilots. They were attacking an Imperial convoy carrying prisoners from human worlds. These were their people, their families, their children. Imperial fighter pilots tried to stop them, but human pilots had advantages the Empire did not know about. They had been training in high gravity since birth. They could handle acceleration that would kill other species. Their reaction times were faster, their endurance longer. Yunwu's squadron destroyed the Imperial escort fighters in minutes. They landed on the prison ships and freed thousands of human captives. When Imperial reinforcements arrived, the human ships were already gone. Engineer Yan watched as the last hidden shipyard came online. New Seoul now produced 100 human warships every day. Each ship was better than anything the Empire had ever built. "How many more worlds like this do we have?" a young engineer asked. Yan smiled. "Every human world, my friend. Every single one. We have been preparing for 50 years. The Empire thought they were watching us, but we were watching them." Truth was spreading across the galaxy. The Empire had not conquered humanity. They had awakened something that would not stop until the Empire was destroyed completely. Admiral Kyungsoo received a message from Earth Command. The core Imperial fleet was coming. War Master Ket Val commanded ships that had never been defeated in 1,000 years of war. "Good," Kyungsoo said to his officers. "Let them come. We have been waiting for this fight our whole lives." Dr. Inha finished her latest project just in time. It was a weapon that could disable Imperial ships without destroying them. Human forces could capture enemy vessels and learn their secrets. But more importantly, it would let them capture Imperial officers alive. There would be trials for war crimes. There would be justice for 50 years of suffering. General Soman made her choice. She could not watch her people fight alone while she served their enemies. She sent a secret message to human forces, offering to share Imperial military secrets. The message was simple. I am coming home. Emperor Vextar gathered his war council. These humans must be stopped before other species see their success. If the galaxy thinks the Empire can be defeated, we will face rebellion everywhere. But it was already too late. On 12 different worlds, alien species that had been conquered by the Empire began to rise up. They had seen human ships destroy Imperial fleets. They had heard human broadcasts calling for freedom. The age of Imperial supremacy was ending. Humanity had shown the galaxy that the Empire could be beaten, and they were just getting started. Warmaster Ket Val had never lost a battle. His core fleet had conquered civilizations across the galaxy. When he received orders to destroy the human stronghold at New Sol, he smiled with his sharp teeth. These humans think they can fight. The Empire, he told his officers. We will show them the price of rebellion. His fleet was massive. 200 battleships, each one capable of destroying cities. Support vessels that carried enough firepower to crack moons. Elite soldiers who had never known defeat. Captain Junho watched the Imperial fleet approach from his command center deep inside what looked like a simple mining station. For 30 years, he had pretended to manage asteroid mining operations. In reality, he commanded the most powerful defensive system ever built by humans. Sir, Imperial fleet entering range, his weapons officer reported. Let them get closer, Junho said. We want them to commit fully before we show them what we really are. Admiral Kyung-Soo waited on the bridge of the human resolve. Around him, the human defense fleet looked small compared to the Imperial Armada. That was exactly what they wanted the Empire to think. All stations report ready, his tactical officer said. Then let us begin, Kyung-Soo replied. Signal the mining platforms. Time to drop the disguise. Across the New Sol system, dozens of mining platforms began to change. Metal panels slid away to reveal massive weapons. Support structures reconfigured into firing positions. What had looked like industrial equipment became fortress cannons capable of destroying battleships. Warmaster Ket Val watched in shock as his sensors detected the weapons powering up. Impossible, he said. Intelligence reported only mining operations in this system. His fleet was already committed to the attack. The human trap had been perfectly set. The first human cannon fired. The energy beam cut through space and struck an Imperial battleship. The massive vessel broke in half and exploded. Debris scattered across space like deadly snow. All weapons, fire at will, Junho commanded. The mining platforms revealed their true purpose. Each one was a fortress designed to kill Imperial ships. Beams of energy and gravity weapons struck the Imperial fleet from all directions. Pilot Yunwoo led his fighter squadron into the chaos. Human fighters moved through the battle like deadly dancers. They flew between the massive Imperial ships, striking at weak points that only humans had learned to find. Imperial pilots tried to stop them, but human pilots had trained for this their entire lives. They could handle gravity forces that would crush other species. They could think and react faster than Imperial computers. Stay together, Yunwoo told his pilots. Remember your training. We are not just fighting for victory. We are fighting for justice. His squadron destroyed 12 Imperial fighters in the first minute of combat. They moved as one unit, each pilot covering the others, each attack perfectly timed. Warmaster Ket Val tried to reorganize his fleet, but the human weapons were unlike anything he had faced. They seemed to ignore Imperial shields and armor. Ships that should have been able to fight for hours died in seconds. Fall back to long range, he ordered. We will bombard them from a distance. But Admiral Kyung-Soo had expected this. Human ships that had been hiding in asteroid fields suddenly appeared, behind the Imperial fleet. The Empire was surrounded. "This is Admiral Kyung-soo to all Imperial vessels," he broadcast. "You came here to destroy us. You will not leave." The battle became a nightmare for the Imperial forces. Every tactic they tried, the humans had an answer for. Every weapon they used, the humans had something better. Dr. Eugen watched the battle from her command center on Earth. She had planned this defense for 20 years. Every human weapon, every tactical system, every ship design had been created specifically to counter Imperial technology. "Phase 2, she announced to her staff. "Deploy the new weapons." Across the battle, human ships began using weapons the Empire had never seen. Gravity bombs that crushed Imperial vessels. Quantum disruptors that made enemy ships phase out of reality. Energy fields that turned Imperial weapons against themselves. War Master Ket Val realized he was losing. His invincible fleet was being systematically destroyed by humans who had studied Imperial warfare for 50 years and found ways to beat it. "Send a distress signal," he ordered. "Request immediate reinforcement." But his communications officer looked up with fear in his eyes. "Sir, our long-range communications are being blocked. The humans are jamming everything. General Somin's ship approached the human fleet, broadcasting identification codes she had received from human intelligence. She carried vital information about Imperial battle tactics and weak points. "This is General Somin requesting permission to join the defense of New Seoul," she transmitted. Admiral Kyung-soo himself answered. "Permission granted, General. Welcome home." Somin's intelligence proved invaluable. She knew exactly how Imperial commanders thought, how they would react to losing the battle. She helped human forces predict Imperial moves before they made them. The tide of battle turned completely. What had started as an Imperial attack became an Imperial massacre. Human weapons tore through the core fleet like it was made of paper. Captain Junho coordinated the fortress platforms with deadly precision. Each shot was calculated to cause maximum damage. Imperial ships that tried to retreat found their escape routes blocked by human weapons fire. Pilot Yun-woo led his squadron in a direct attack on the Imperial flagship. The Dominion's fist was the pride of the Imperial Navy, but it had never faced human tactics. "All fighters, target the command tower," Yun-woo ordered. "Take out their ability to coordinate the fleet." Human fighters swarmed around the massive ship like angry hornets. They were too small and fast for the main weapons to target, but their attacks were precisely placed to cause critical damage. War Master Ket Val watched his command systems fail one by one. Human fighters were destroying specific components with surgical precision. They knew exactly where to hit to disable Imperial ships. "How do they know our weak points?" he demanded. His tactical officer looked at the display showing human attack patterns. "Sir, they are hitting systems that are not even in our public technical manuals. They know our ships better than we do." The truth was that humans had been capturing and studying Imperial technology for decades. Every trade mission, every diplomatic contact, every prisoner exchange had been an opportunity to gather intelligence. Admiral Kyung-soo brought the human resolve alongside the Imperial flagship. "War Master Ket Val," he broadcast, "you came here expecting an easy victory over primitive humans. You found something else." The Imperial commander looked at his tactical display. 3/4 of his fleet was destroyed. The remaining ships were damaged and surrounded. His invincible armada had been utterly defeated. "What are your terms for surrender?" Ket Val asked. "We do not accept surrenders," Kyung-soo replied. "You have 50 years of war crimes to answer for. Your fleet will be destroyed. Your ships will become materials for our war effort. You personally will face trial for genocide." The final phase of the battle was swift and brutal. Human forces methodically destroyed every remaining Imperial ship. They stripped the wreckage for useful materials and captured the surviving Imperial officers. As the last Imperial vessel exploded, Captain Junho opened communication channels across the galaxy. "This is New Seoul Defense Command to all Imperial forces. Your core fleet has been destroyed. The myth of Imperial invincibility is broken. The message spread across the galaxy faster than Imperial sensors could stop it. Subject species that had feared the Empire for generations learned that the humans had destroyed the fleet that had conquered their worlds. Rebellions began on 12 worlds that same day. Species that had been enslaved for centuries rose up against their Imperial masters. The Empire's control began to crumble. General Soman stood on the bridge of the human resolve, looking at the debris field that had once been the Imperial core fleet. "This is just the beginning," she told Admiral Kyung-soo. "The Empire will send everything they have to stop us now." Kyung-soo nodded. "Let them come. We have been preparing for this war our entire lives. We will not stop until every Imperial world is free and every war criminal faces justice." The Battle of New Seoul was over, but the war for galactic freedom had truly begun. News of the Imperial fleet's destruction spread across the galaxy like wildfire. On worlds that had been enslaved for centuries, people began to hope. The Empire could be beaten. The humans had proven it. Ambassador Minho arrived at the Velthari, homeworld in a small human diplomatic ship. The Velthari had been enslaved for 300 years, forced to create crystalline computers for Imperial technology. Their beautiful crystal cities had been turned into factories. "We offer you freedom," Minho told the Velthari Council. "Join us, and we will help you drive the Empire from your worlds." The Velthari leader, a tall being whose skin sparkled like diamonds, looked at the human ambassador with suspicion. "Many species have promised us freedom. All have failed. Why should humans be different?" Minho activated a holographic display showing the wreckage of the Imperial core fleet. "Because we do not just fight the Empire. We destroy it completely. Every ship, every base, every symbol of their power." The Velthari Council whispered among themselves in their crystal-like language. Finally, their leader spoke. "What do you want from us in return?" "Your crystalline computers," Minho said honestly. "They will make our ships faster and our weapons more accurate. In exchange, we will give you the technology to protect yourselves forever." It was a fair trade. The Velthari agreed to help humanity in exchange for freedom and defensive technology that would prevent any future enslavement. Emperor Vextar paced in his throne room, his 4 arms shaking with rage. Reports came in every hour of rebellions across his empire. The Kethrani had destroyed Imperial garrisons on 6 worlds. The Zolari had captured an entire Imperial fleet. Species that had been peaceful for generations were suddenly fighting. Like demons. "It is the humans," General Torvin reported. "They are supporting every rebellion with weapons and tactical advice. Our forces are outnumbered and outgunned on 20 different fronts." The Emperor stopped pacing. "Then we use the planet killers. If we cannot rule these worlds, we will destroy them. Send the order to all sector commanders. Any world that rebels against the Empire will be cracked apart." General Torvin hesitated. "Your Majesty, that will mean destroying billions of innocent lives." "Innocent?" the Emperor snarled. "They chose rebellion. They chose death. Send the order." Commander Harry received the intelligence about the planet-killer weapons from General Soman. These were the Empire's ultimate weapons, devices that could split worlds apart by destabilizing their cores. "We cannot let them use these weapons," Admiral Deho said during the Emergency Council meeting. "They will kill entire planets to maintain their power." "I will stop them," Harry volunteered. "Give me a strike team and the fastest ships we have. We can capture one of the planet killers before they use it." It was a desperate mission. The planet killer ships were heavily defended and hidden in the most secure Imperial systems. But if they succeeded, humanity could reverse engineer the technology and maybe find a way to stop the other weapons. Harry led 12 human ships deep into Imperial space. They moved silently, using stealth technology that the Empire could not detect. Their target was the planet-killer World's End, stationed near the Imperial Fortress world of Krevtar. "Remember," Harry told her team, "we need that ship intact. We cannot learn from it if we destroy it." The attack was swift and brutal. Human ships appeared around the planet-killer without warning. Imperial defenders tried to respond, but human weapons cut through their shields like they were not there. Harry's assault team boarded the massive weapon while space battle raged around them. They fought through Imperial Marines and security forces heading for the ship's core systems. What they found there made Harry sick with horror. The planet killer did not just crack worlds apart. It harvested the life energy of every living thing on the planet to power itself. The Empire had been committing genocide for fuel. "Document everything," Harry ordered her team. "The galaxy needs to see what the Empire really is." They captured the planet killer, but at terrible cost. Half of Harry's strike team died in the battle. The survivors brought back evidence of Imperial crimes that shocked even hardened human soldiers. Engineer Hyon studied the captured planet killer technology with disgust and fascination. The Empire had built machines of pure evil, but human. Engineers could turn that technology to good purposes. "Instead of world killers, we will build world healers," Hyon announced to his team. "We will restore the planets the Empire has poisoned and stripped bare." The first human world healer was completed in 3 months. It landed on the dead world of Chorus Prime, which the Empire had strip-mined for rare metals. The machine began reversing the damage, restoring atmosphere, and bringing life back to the barren surface. Videos of Chorus Prime coming back to life spread across the galaxy. Species that had lost their homeworlds to Imperial greed began to believe that restoration was possible. Admiral Deho led the human fleet toward the Empire's capital system. Intelligence reports said Emperor Vexitar was gathering his remaining forces for a final battle. The Empire would make its last stand at the throne world. The Emperor sent one final message to humanity, broadcast on all frequencies. He appeared. On screens across the galaxy, his purple skin pale with fear and rage. "Humans of Earth," he said, "I offer you one final chance. Stop your advance and accept autonomy over your own worlds. In return, I will allow your species to live." Captain Jiwoo, now promoted to Admiral after her role in starting the war, responded for all humanity. "You had your chance for peace 50 years ago. You chose slavery and genocide. You offered us autonomy over our own worlds once before, and we rejected it then. We will not negotiate with tyrants. We will not stop until every trace of your empire is erased from the galaxy." The Emperor's face twisted with hate. "Then you have chosen extinction. My remaining fleets will fight to the death. Every human ship will be destroyed." "Your fleets are already destroyed," Jiwoo replied. "Your empire is already falling. Your war criminals will face justice. This is not negotiation. This is notification of your defeat." Dr. Inha activated humanity's final surprise. Hidden across the galaxy, quantum beacons came online simultaneously. The network created a field that disrupted Imperial faster-than-light technology. Imperial ships found themselves trapped in whatever system they occupied. They could not call for reinforcements. They could not escape to fight another day. The Empire's vast territory had become a prison for its own forces. "Attention all Imperial vessels," Dr. Inha broadcast. "Your FTL drives are now non-functional. This effect will continue until the Empire surrenders unconditionally and all war criminals are handed over for trial." The psychological impact was immediate. Imperial commanders who had relied on superior mobility found themselves isolated and vulnerable. Morale collapsed as soldiers realized they could not retreat from human advances. On the Imperial capital world, panic spread through the government. Ministers and generals who had ordered atrocities across the galaxy suddenly faced the possibility of facing justice for their crimes. "We could surrender," suggested General Torvin. "Negotiate terms that allow the Empire to continue in reduced form." Emperor Vextar struck him down with one of his 4 arms. Never! The Empire dies with me, or the galaxy burns. But across Imperial space, individual commanders began to surrender to human forces. They had no choice. Their ships could not escape, and human fleets were systematically hunting down every Imperial vessel. Ambassador Minho negotiated surrender terms that were the same for everyone: complete disarmament, trials for war criminals, and reparations to enslaved species. There was no room for compromise. General Somin coordinated with liberated species to establish new governments. The freed worlds did not want another empire to replace the old one. They wanted a federation where every species had equal voice and protection. Never again became the motto of the new galactic order. Never again will one species dominate others. Never again will genocide be used as a tool of control. The Empire's last stand was approaching. Emperor Vexitar gathered his remaining loyal forces around the capital system. He had one final card to play, one last weapon that might let him take his enemies with him into death. Admiral Deho's fleet approached the Imperial capital, ready for the final battle. Every human ship carried troops prepared to land on the throne world itself. This war would end where Imperial power began. All ships, Deho broadcast to his fleet. Remember why we fight. We fight for the slaves in Imperial work camps. We fight for the children taken from their families. We fight for the world stripped bare by Imperial greed. We fight for justice. The final battle was about to begin. The Empire's last stand would be written in fire and blood across the stars. The Imperial throne world burned under a red sun. Emperor Vexitar stood in his palace, looking out at the human fleet surrounding his planet. Ships filled the sky like angry stars, each one carrying weapons that could level cities. "Your Majesty," General Torvin said, "the human fleet is requesting our surrender. Admiral Deho promises fair trials for all Imperial personnel." The Emperor laughed, but there was no humor in the sound. "Fair trials? They mean execution. I will not give these insects the satisfaction of judging me." Deep beneath the palace, Imperial engineers worked frantically on their master's final order. They were preparing to detonate the planet's core. If Vexitar could not rule the galaxy, he would take the human fleet with him into death. Admiral Kyung-Soo watched the Imperial capital from the bridge of the human resolve. 50 years of war had led to this moment. The Empire's heart lay before them, defended by the last loyal Imperial forces. "Sir," his sensor officer reported, "we are detecting massive energy buildup deep in the planet's core. It looks like they are trying to destabilize the entire world." Kyung-Soo felt cold fear in his chest. A planetary core explosion would destroy everything in the system, including the human fleet. "How long until detonation?" 6 hours, sir. Maybe less if they push the process. Pilot Yunwoo sat in his fighter, ready for the most important mission of his life. Intelligence had located the core destabilization facility. Someone had to fly into the planet's crust and stop the explosion manually. "This is a one-way trip," Admiral Deho told him over the comm. "The radiation and heat will kill anyone who tries this." "I understand, sir," Yunwoo replied. "My family died in Imperial work camps. This is for them." He launched from the flagship, flying directly toward the planet's surface. Imperial fighters rose to stop him, but human escort squadrons cleared his path. Yunwoo's ship dove through the atmosphere like a falling star. Emperor Vextar watched the approaching human fighter. On his monitors, "Shoot it down!" he screamed at his remaining forces. "Do not let them reach the core facility!" But human technology was superior to anything the Empire had. Yunwoo's fighter phased through energy barriers that should have stopped him. It absorbed weapon hits that should have destroyed it. Human engineering had created the perfect tool for this mission. The fighter reached the entrance to the core facility. Yunwoo flew directly into the tunnel that led to the planet's heart. The heat was incredible, but his ship's shields held long enough. "This is Yun Wu to all human forces," he transmitted as he flew deeper into the planet. "I can see the destabilization device. Beginning shutdown procedure now." He ejected from his fighter and ran through corridors filled with deadly radiation. His protective suit would keep him alive for minutes, no more. It had to be enough. The core chamber was a cathedral of machines and energy. In the center, a massive device was forcing the planet's core to become unstable. Yunwu pulled out the shutdown codes that human intelligence had provided. Imperial guards tried to stop him, but human training made him faster and stronger than they expected. He fought his way to the control panel and began entering the shutdown sequence. "The device is powering down," he reported. "Core explosion prevented. The planet is safe." Those were his last words. The radiation killed him before he could reach his escape ship. But his sacrifice saved billions of lives, including the human fleet above. Admiral Kyung-soo received confirmation that the core explosion had been stopped. "All ships," he broadcast, "begin final assault. Take the Imperial Palace. Capture the Emperor alive." Human Marines landed on the throne world like a metal rain. They had trained for urban warfare on dozens of worlds. Imperial soldiers fought bravely, but they were outnumbered and outgunned. Captain Jiwoo led the assault team that reached the Imperial Palace first. She had started this war with her ultimatum. Now she would finish it by capturing the tyrant, who had caused so much suffering. Emperor Vextar waited in his throne room with his last loyal guards. When the humans broke through the final doors, he raised a weapon to his own head. "You will not take me alive," he snarled. "Yes, we will," Jiwoo said calmly. She fired a stun weapon that paralyzed the Emperor before he could kill himself. "You will face trial for your crimes. Every species you enslaved deserves to see justice done." The war was over. The Galactic Empire, which had ruled for 1,000 years, was destroyed. Every Imperial ship had been captured or destroyed. Every Imperial base had been taken. Every Imperial official was now a prisoner awaiting trial. Admiral Kyung-soo stood in the former Imperial throne room, now converted into a courtroom. Representatives from dozens of liberated species had come to witness the trials of their former oppressors. "Emperor Vextar," the chief judge announced, "you are charged with genocide, slavery, and crimes against sentient life. How do you plead?" The former emperor, now wearing simple prison clothes, glared at his captors with unbroken hatred. "I am guilty of ruling inferior species. I regret nothing. The trials lasted 6 months. Every imperial crime was documented and judged. War criminals received sentences appropriate to their actions. Some faced execution, others received life imprisonment. A few who had shown mercy to their victims received lighter sentences. General Somin testified against her former colleagues, providing evidence of imperial atrocities across the galaxy. Her testimony helped convict hundreds of war criminals and free thousands of political prisoners. "Why did you choose to help us?" the human prosecutor asked her. "Because I remembered what it meant to be human," she replied. "I remembered that. Some things are worth fighting for, no matter the cost." Ambassador Minho worked with liberated species to create a new galactic government. The Galactic Federation was built on principles the Empire had never understood: equality, justice, and protection for all sentient life. No single species will ever again dominate the galaxy, Minho announced at the founding ceremony. "We have learned the price of allowing tyrants to grow strong." Dr. Eugene oversaw the distribution of former imperial technology to liberated worlds. Every species received the tools they needed to defend themselves. The age of technological monopoly was ending. Engineer Hyon led the project to restore worlds damaged by imperial rule. World healer ships visited dozens of planets, bringing life back to places the Empire had poisoned. Dead worlds bloomed again under human care. The memorial was built on the former Imperial throne world, now renamed Freedom. It honored all the victims of imperial tyranny and all the heroes who had died fighting for liberation. Captain Jiwoo, now Admiral of the Terran Defense Force, spoke at the dedication ceremony. Representatives from every free species in the galaxy attended. "This memorial reminds us of two truths," she said. "First, that tyranny will always rise if good people do nothing. Second, that justice, once awakened, never sleeps again." The memorial's central inscription was written in the languages of every liberated species. Here stood an empire that believed might made right. It learned too late that justice, once awakened, does not sleep again. Engineer Hyon activated the memorial's quantum beacon. The signal would reach every corner of the galaxy, carrying a message to any future would-be conquerors. "This is what happens to those who mistake human kindness for human weakness," the message said. "We gave them a warning. They chose ruin. We gave them ruin." Dr. Inha established the Galactic Defense Institute, where species could learn to protect themselves from future threats. Human military advisors taught defensive tactics to any world that requested help. "We will not be the galaxy's rulers," she explained to her students. "We will be its guardians. When any species faces extinction, they can call on us for help." Admiral Daeho retired to a small farm on New Sol, but he kept his communicator active. If the galaxy ever again faced tyranny, the old warrior would answer the call. The Galactic Federation grew strong under its founding principles. Trade flourished between equal partners. Science advanced through shared knowledge. Art and culture bloomed as species learned from each other. But in the deepest archives of the Terran Defense Force, detailed plans waited in sealed vaults. Plans for weapons that could crack stars. Plans for ships that could cross the galaxy in hours. Plans for tactics that could devastate entire civilizations. The plans were labeled with a simple warning: for use only when the galaxy faces extinction. Remember the price of tyranny. Remember the cost of stopping it. Humanity had learned the lesson of the Empire's fall. Peace was precious, but it required strength to protect it. Justice was valuable, but it demanded the will to fight for it. The galaxy was free, but it would never again be defenseless. Humanity had made sure of that, and in the stars above freedom, human ships maintained their eternal watch. They were the guardians now, the protectors of liberty, the sword of justice in the darkness. They had given the Empire a warning. The Empire had chosen ruin. Now they watched the stars, making sure no one else would make the same mistake.